Hello there and welcome to this Old World Meta video. We're going to look at a few tournaments now. I've just been trying to get them loaded up on the old Best Coast pairings, and then I'll show you my spreadsheet. So let's just get on with it, really. I'm not looking at events where there are fewer than 10 competitors, and I'm trying to avoid events that are lower points than 2,000. There are a few tournaments going up that are 2,500 over the next few months, so that'll be interesting. I haven't seen any 1999 tournaments though, so that's quite interesting. The reason that my name's Dan. I'm a bit of a Warhammer veteran, and I talk about Warhammer, the old world. Anyway, I also don't include events where they haven't the event organizer hasn't clicked event ended. So Crown of Command I would normally have included, but I'm not sure that means that there's some scores that need adding or whatever, so I don't want to skew the results by essentially including stuff that's basically finished. So we've got a few events that happened over the last weekend. We've got a Mustering of Arms, which is actually this Lourdes League thing, which I don't know why there's two events, but that's not the event, that is. There's something interesting about that. There's this Old World tournament at XPG, which is Canada, I think, Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And then we've got Return to the Old World, which I've already got. There was another one. There was one it's there. It's right there. Rise of the Dragon of the Old World. Yeah. So we've got these events, and then most importantly, well, to me anyway, we've got a first 5-round event, Old World First GT. So we'll have a look at that last, hopefully. The Old World First GT. Right, so we've got Rise of the Dragon, Return. Yeah, we've got them all there. Right, so let's go through them. So Rise of the Dragon in the Old World. This was an event that took place in Italy over the weekend, a 3-round event. Wood Elves won, followed by Chaos Dwarves, with, interestingly, Wood Elves also coming bottom too. Well, took nearly bottom anyway. So let's have a look at the list. So he had a Glade Lord on a Dragon, a Treeman Ancient, and that's his characters. I mean, yeah, so you got a level 4 wizard, basically, which is pretty tough to kill. You've then got a dragon. So that's his list. And then there's some other stuff that just gets in the way. There's a treeman there. Their treemen are really good in combat compared with... Ancients aren't as good in combat as normal treemen. But ancients obviously have magic and normal treemen don't. But this looks like a pretty good list. He's got 3 units of Sister of Thorns. There's lots of magic coming out there. Lots of Plague of Rust, I'd imagine. Such that the Deepwood Scouts and the Glade Guard and the Glade Riders, their bows become really effective. He's gone for Arcane Bodkins here, but he's got 3 sets of Hagbane Tips. Now, what he's done there is quite clever, because I'd imagine these will be running around with Plague of Rust, essentially giving the opponent -2 armor save, or he can target a unit and give it -2 armor save. And then he's got all this shooting, which will basically be 60s to hit, automatically wound, and then you get the -2 armor save as well because of the Plague of Rust. And then he can charge his dragon into something that he's got Plague of Rust off, because Plague of Rust is a hex. So that's a really clever list. I really like that. That's really good. But yeah, well done to Stefano. Marco Parente, I think, took a Chaos Dwarf list as well. So let's have a look at that. Let's get rid of that one. We've got some Chaos Dwarves. He's got a Black Hawk War Boss. He's got a big... Oh no, he's got 5. I thought he had a big one. A Black Hawk unit. He's got some Cutthroats, which is interesting. Some Infernal Guard with the Fire Glaives. They're really good. He's got some Bull Centaurs, Iron Demon... 2 Iron Demons. They're pretty nasty, actually. So yeah, that's really interesting. No rare choices, no massive So he's got his Black Orc War Boss, which is like he's got Ogre Blade. Yeah. Oh, it's got a venomous tail, so presumably it's on a Wyvern. Ah, there we go, Wyvern. So he's got a dragon. He's got a combat dragon thing, and then he's got a level 4 wizard to be general. And what law's he gone for? Does it say dark magic? So to buff stuff up, basically. So I'm not really sure how that would work on the table. It looks quite flexible, actually, in that you got this castle of the couple of Iron Demons and the Infernal Guard, and then you got the Black Orc and the Bull Centaur renders, to kind of take flanks, maybe. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. He's got a couple of cheap screens to try and keep them alive. So, yeah, that looks like a good list. I quite like that. And then we've had a Mustering of Arms, which is in Farsley. In fact, we'll do that penultimately for reasons that will become apparent soon. So we also had this. I think this is in Canada. Not sure. Dwarves won. Tomb Kings came second. These are only 3-game tournaments though, so it's possible that quite a few people at the top, never meet each other. So if there were just one more round, you'd see like 2 of those probably ending up with 4-0. Essentially, what would probably happen on the strength of schedule next is Chad plays probably Brandon, and Carlo plays Val. So Val's the Square-based guy who does a podcast with the Honest Wargamer, Rob Symes. So this is his list, which that's a good list. That's a very good list. I'm not sure about the Mangler Squigs, to be honest. I'm still not sure. They look really good and really cheap for what they are. So I guess there's a catch, and I don't know what it is, but they look a bit. I'm not sure why. There's something in their rules that just doesn't fit in my head. Like, it just looks a bit wrong for some reason. Like, I don't know why. The guy with the dwarves came top. He's got a king, a thane, with a big banner. He's got the Anvil of Doom. He's got some longbeards, rangers, hammerers, miners, ironbreakers. Quite small units of everything, to be honest. A gyro bomber, 5 Iron Drakes, which are pretty good. It's like an MSU style list, isn't it? So he's I'd imagine what he's doing is like a what you call like a layered defense. So essentially you've got like loads of units staggered all over the place, and that allows him to keep shooting basically through the channels that he's created in between his combat units. Yeah. And given this banner, I don't know what that would probably go in the Longbeards, maybe, or maybe he's got 13 hammerers, so maybe the King and the Thane go in the hammerers. Yeah, maybe that's what happens. And he's got Mastering of Hes. Yeah, he's got a lot in that unit, mate. I think that's it, isn't it? He's got this big brick in the middle of 500 points. In fact, more, 600, 700. Yeah, if that is true, that's about 700 points in this big sort of 15 dwarf brick. And then everything else just kind of layers around it. I'd imagine that's how that plays, but, I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there. Brandon has got a 3-0 with Tomb Kings. Brandon Damer. Apologies if I've got your name wrong. You got Tomb King on a dragon. You got a level 4 wizard with the Cloak of Dunes, which means it flies around a bit, I think, if I remember rightly. You got a Mortuary Priest. Necrotex, I think, are really, really good, cheap little characters, especially to stuff in stuff like Skeleton Warrior, because it just gives them an extra attack, basically. They're just great. Tomb Guard, I'm not sure about yet. I don't know. Chariots, again, I'm not sure what their job is, for how many points they are. I don't really get them. Necropolis Knights are good. It's got 3 Shabti with great bows. I think that's a great pick. I love a Shabti with great bows. The models are great, so yeah. And it's got a Necrosphinx, Casket, and a Colossus. So that's an interesting selection of rare stuff. I think, I can see why that's done well, actually. Because you've got essentially 2 monsters that can... This thing can, like, it's got a Monster Slayer as well, so it can, like, kill dragons and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good list. And he's got his own dragon, although the Necrolith dragon's a bit rubbish, but... Yeah, that's a pretty good list. I can see why it won. And then we've got vampire counts. Now, as you'll see in the stats later, vampire counts are really bad in the meta at the moment. So this is going to be an interesting list, where we have a Master Necromancer, 2 Master Necromancers. Is Lore Familiar extremely common? It must be, really. So, yeah. So he's picking his spells, both Necromancy, White Lord, Vampire Count. He's got a lot in characters, hasn't he? 989 of characters. Yeah. Has that got... that's a lance. It's just on a nightmare. A lot of zombies, and then MSU stuff to sort of get in the way. That's smart. It's got spirit hosts, which are very, very good. And then 6 Blood Knights to take up the rare slot. So essentially, so he's got a Blender Lord, sort of. And, I mean, you don't really get a Blender Lord nowadays, but as close to it as he's got. And 6 Blood Knights has got a big block of 7 of them. And essentially 2 units of 40 zombies to accompany the Necromancers. And people are just not going to be able to chew through 40 zombies in a turn. And then the Necromancers are going to bring most of them back. He's got a Tomb Banshee sort of floating around, probably because he had 90 points spare and didn't want to paint another 10 ghouls, or maybe only had 20. I don't know. I'm really not sure how that list is going to work on the table, actually. I think possibly the wolves accompany the knights, and the ghouls kind of skirmish for the zombies, or around the zombies, or whatever. Or I think ghouls have got like... scouts or vanguard or something like that, so they can do weird shenanigans. And spirit hosts are just great blockers, because if your opponent hasn't got magical attacks, the only way they can get rid of them is through the unstable rule. So that's a really interesting list. I'd love to know, Carlo, where was this? Canada. If anybody knows Carlo, tell him to ping us an email, because I'd like to know how that plays. Actually, it's really interesting. Cool. And then we've got Return of the Old World, which was again a 3-game tournament. First tournament in Australia, I think. Warriors of Chaos won it, and then High Elves come second. So Australia is quite an interesting meta, in that certainly in AOS it tends to be pretty similar to England. In terms of the meta over here, what you tend to find is, and I need to sort this out on the data when I get a bit further down the line, is that the English meta, the North European, so you basically have several regions. You kind of have North American, in that America and Canada kind of play the same game. You've got England, you've got Northern Europe, you've got Southern Europe, and you've got Australasia, and you kind of have those 5 metas, or you have in AOS. So I don't know why they're all different, but they do seem to play slightly differently in terms of like who does well. Okay, so this is Return to the Old World. We've got a Prince and a Dragon. We've got a level 4, we've got Leather and Sea Guard. We've got some Illyrian Reavers, who I think are total rubbish. I'd drop them, but not like he needs to. Pardon me. He's got some Bolt Throwers. Love the Line Chariot. I think it's great. I think if I bother to get High Elves, I'm definitely going to go down the Cracian route. Some Swordmasters to stick around with the Archmage. Archmage has got armor. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Not lore familiar. So he gets to pick his spells. So presumably he's got the ethereal spell, and whatever. See my Wood Elf video for which spells you want to pick. Cool, but that looks pretty good. And then I've already got the Warriors of Chaos. We got a level 4 wizard. Again, like I said, every 2K list needs a level 4 wizard. It's just mandatory, I think. He's got another sorcerer. He's got a Chaos Lord, Mark of Khorne, Demonic Mount. Okay. It's got the Favour of the Gods. That's smart. Every character should have that in Chaos, I think. It just makes them so much better. Because sorcerers actually can fight. They're not bad in combat, so giving them Favour of the Gods means you're more likely to make them like Blender wizards by the end of the game. Well, not Blender, but, semi-Blender. There's got some Knights of Court. No, these are of Tzeentch. Why of Tzeentch? Your unit strength. Okay, hold on. That one's on a mount. So he's got 2. He's got Chosen of Khorne. Yeah, well, that's unit strength 10. So if you put a Wizard of Tzeentch with them, then they get +1 to cast. So maybe, yeah, maybe. Oh, Lore Familiar. Anyway, I'm just thinking about my list now. Just thinking if Lore Familiar is extremely common, I could put it on my Sorcerer Lord. I think I can anyway, because Spell Familiar is extremely common. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just realised I can do something. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he spent nearly 1,000 points on characters. I have said on many occasions this isn't Hero Hammer, right? It's not 6th. Although the meta's disproving me. I'd love there to be a list where there's just one character and the rest is just units, but maybe it is Hero Hammer again. So we've got Marauders, we've got some Chosen Knights, we've got 3 units of Dragon Ogres, but that's just a single, or do Dragon Ogres come in 2? I'm not sure how many there are in that unit. I think that's just a single Dragon Ogre though. Just 3 units of 1 Dragon Ogre. That's interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. That's really clever, actually. Because that's, yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks, Tom. You've given me a good idea. And I love the Dragon Ogre models. I used to have like 6 of them. Can you remember the metal ones? Like I had 6 of them. And it took me ages to build. And I think I just about managed to paint them. Oh, horrendous. Okay, so that's Return to the Old World. Well done, Tom, for taking the win there. Well done, Domenico, for coming in second, a very respectable second. 2107, that's a stonking result for the first game. What's the biggest thrashing that somebody got? 2297, I think, is the highest down here. Vampire counts. Who got beaten by 2297? It's oh no, they didn't. That's not how this is recorded. 2250, that's pretty good. 2297. Who was he playing? So it's a Vampire Counts list doing some really good work against that's the Vampire Counts list against Jacob with Bretonnians. He just absolutely smashed them to bits. Not sure why. It's not a terrible list. Cool. Right. So that's that one. Then we've had Old Grudges, which is in. No, we've done that one, haven't we, idiot? We've done the Australian one. Dale, did we? Oh, I don't know. I've lost it. Well, we'll have a quick look at these lists. Because I don't think we have. No, we haven't. No. Was that another Australian? Was that 2 in 1 weekend? Anyway, so we got Old Grudges. Dale took out the win. It's a 1,500 point. Alright, that's not bother looking at the list. Well, other than the fact that you got level 4 Wizard, Treeman Ancient, right? If you got Wood Elves, Treeman Ancient, I think that's the answer. That seems to be the answer. That seems to be what everybody's going for. Sisters seem to crop up quite a lot. Scouts, Glade Guard. This is a pretty standard, like, filling out your core slot sort of thing. Some Scouts, some Glade Guard. Some people go for more Scouts and fewer Glade Guard. You know, it's up to you, really. Great Eagle appearing there. I mean, I think they're rubbish, but obviously, Tom is better than you, Dave. That's his list. Okay, thanks, Tim. That's really helpful. Oh yeah, I can really. Why did the TO allow him? If everybody else is publishing their list, right? Oh, okay, so they're not. Not everybody's publishing the list. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, a couple of Wood Elves in there. A couple of Woodies. Yeah. So before we do the big one, the 5-game one, we'll have a look at a Mustering of Arms, which took place at Lourdes Games. I think in Farsley, which is a really nice little venue. I keep meaning to go, and family stuff keeps cropping up. Robbie has been emailing me, and he emailed me before the event saying, I'll let you know how it goes on. And I need to record this video now, rather than... I did email him and say, congrats, well done. These are my guesses as to what happened to your results. Let me know how good my guesses were. But yeah, it's yeah. I need to record the video now because I've got to go to physio and then I've got to go to Warwick all week for a work thing. So fun. So I thought I'd get this done while I've got access to like my cameras and stuff, so I can record it sort of okayly. So Robbie won. Well done, Robbie. He's got 3 wins there. Let's have a look at his list. I want to have a look at the Chaos list as well. The Wood Elf list I want to have a look at. And there's another Chaos list there. So 2 Warriors of Chaos, Wood Elves, Lizardmen. I think this is going to be pretty common at the top of like the English meta. Maybe with a bit of Alan Weir managed to get 150 points for his win there, whereas everybody else seems to only get 1. Yeah, maybe some High Elves, but you'll see with the High Elves in a minute that they're not doing as well as everybody thinks they would. Tree Huggers Anonymous by Keith. It would do Robbie last. Yep. So we've got the level 4 wizard. We haven't got a Treeman Ancient this time, but we do have a Lord on a Dragon, and then we got a Waystalker with Swift Shiver Shards, which gives him more attacks, more shooting attacks, and you got the Bow and Lauren, blah blah blah. Again, you got Scouts, Glayguard. You got some Dryads this time round. We got more Scouts, Wild Riders, Sister of the Thorn. Again, Sister of the Thorn. This unit crops up every single time with Wood Elves. Everybody's got 1 unit of these at least, and then some Way Watchers to do a bit of sniping. So that's an interesting list. I have no idea how that works on the tabletop, to be honest. I'm not even going to hazard to guess. It looks like a Wood Elf list with a dragon in it. But yeah, I think the dragon, yeah. And then we've got a Chaos Lord with a dragon. Do you get the sense that maybe dragons are quite good? You got a Chaos Lord with a dragon. That's the one character though. So this isn't Hero Hammer. It's only a Chaos Lord on a dragon. Then he's got 3 units of Forsaken of Khorne, which I think gives them Killing Blow. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but which is an amazing ability. You got some Knights of Khorne. Is that Dragon of Khorne? No, that's Dragons of Nurgle. He's got he's got the Enchanting Aura, so that means stuff strikes last. He's got Bedazzling Helm, which means he's -1 to hit. So you're probably hitting him on 4s, if not 5s. You're re-rolling 6s to hit. And then he's got like 2-up save. Oh no, that's it. He's not got. He's got his 5-up ward that's innate with Chaos Lords, with Chaos Dragon, with Chaos armor. Sorry, they're getting an innate 5-up. So he's got a 2-up save and a 5-up ward, but he hasn't got any regen on that because he hasn't got the. He probably doesn't need it because he's got like 9 wounds. And you're going to find it difficult to hit him as well. So that's all pretty good. Personally, I think Bedazzling Helm probably needs a bit of a fix. I think I don't think I don't think we need to give monsters the ability to get to a 2-up save easily. Like I don't think any monster in the game should have a 2-up save. The best they can have is a 3-up in my opinion. Or should have is a 3-up in my opinion. So essentially all these helms that add 1 to save, we should just get rid of the +1 to save thing, in my opinion. But anyway, that would balance it off a bit. Forsaken, Chaos Knights, Warhounds. 3 units of Warhounds with Vanguard. I appreciate that choice. I think that's a good pick. They act as a really good screen for the Knights, and then essentially you got the Warhounds that come first. You got 2 units of Knights, then a unit of Chosen. You got the 3 single Dragon Ogres again. These are all champions though. That's the second time I've seen that. That's a really interesting pick. Might have to have a look at that. And then you got 3 units of Forsaken, which is totally different to my Chaos list. Well, it's not totally different. I mean, I've got the Knights of Khorne, I've got the Warhounds, I've got the Chosen Knights, but then I've got a big block of Marauders and a big block of I've got more characters as well. So that's interesting. Stephen Toll. Anyway, the guy who won it, Robbie. Well done, Robbie. He's got not too much by way of characters, actually. He's got 840 points of characters. He's got a Slan Mage Priest. He's got a Frog on a Floating Rock. Level 4 Soulstone. It's a pretty good artifact. He's got the Law Familiar, which allows him to pick spells, and he's got High Magic, which you would. So he can make himself ethereal, basically. I think he can do that. Can't remember the Lizardman book very well. I think there's some janky stuff there. He's given an Engine of the Gods to this Skink Priest. This is an amazing monster. Like, on that is fantastic. So you got the Stegodon, which has got an Engine of the Gods. It's got a Skink Priest on it, so it's a level 2 wizard. Engine of the Gods. It's got the Earthing Rod, which means miscast don't really affect him. He's got Talisman of Protection, which means he's giving himself 5 at ward. He's got Battle Magic, so he can do like more stuff in combat. Probably taking Hammer Hand, I'd imagine, as well, just so the Stegotron does more damage. Absolutely wonderful. It's got another Engine of the Gods down here, which is just great. Double Engine of the Gods and a Slan Mage Priest. This is like an AOS thing. Come back to fantasy. It's brilliant. He's got a Skink Chief on a Pterodon. Christ knows why that's there. Other than just being a nuisance, perhaps. He's got some Jungle Swarms, which for 40 points, they're pretty cheap for just... It's a ton of wounds that just sort of sits around. He's got some Saurus Warriors, I think just to take out core slots, to be honest, and just essentially give him a bit of staying power somewhere on the table. 14's an odd number, though. Maybe 2 ranks of 7. I don't know what he's doing with that. Then we've got some Skink Skirmishers, quite a lot of Skink Skirmishers. These 2 units have got scouts, these haven't, so these can be deployed like in No Man's Land, basically. So he's got like a Skink Skirmisher screen for the warriors. He's got 2 units of Skink Skirmishers that he can, sort of pop down in a bit of terrain or something near the opponent just to be a bit more annoying. He's got this flapping around being very annoying. He's got a level 4 wizard. He's got a level 2 wizard on basically a foot dragon. It's not quite as good as the Carnifex, but Carnifex? No, what's it called? Carnosaur. Carnifex. Apologies. He's got 2 Bastillodons are great. Both have got Solar Engine. Yeah. And he's got 5 Chameleon Skinks. Just sort of, again, so he's got a lot of stuff that's basically a nuisance, a lot of stuff that does a ton of damage, and then he's got this sort of block of this holding block in his core choice. So, yeah, it's a really good list. I can see why that did well. Dealing with 2 Stegodons and 2 Bastillodons and a Slan Mage Priest, there's a lot of questions being asked by that list, so I'm really not surprised he won, because I don't, even if somebody's got a dragon, it's like, well, which of the all 4 monsters do I put my dragon at? Like, absolute beast of a list. Anyway, so well done, Robbie. Cool. So First 5 Gamer was the Old World First GT. It was, of course, in I think that's Sweden. Apologies if it's not. But yeah, it's Sweden. Yes. I am not that thick. We've got Tim took it home with a. Let's do the top 3. Yeah, let's do the top 3. So we'll do that one, we'll do that one, and we'll have a look at that one. So, what was it? Tomb Kings, Wood Elves. Oh, why has it done that? Anyway, so we've got Cetra. We've got a named character. That's the first time I've seen a named character at the top of a tournament. And it's Cetra. Of course it is. This is Marcus's really interesting list, really character heavy, but it's going to be with Cetra because Cetra doesn't do all the jobs that you need in a Tomb King list. So you need to take your Herald, you don't need a Tomb King on top, but anyway, he's got a Tomb King on top, and you do need a Mortuary Priest on. So these 2 you kind of need. That one's a bit optional, so he could have spent a bit less on characters, but he obviously didn't need to. Got a big block of Tomb Guard. I quite like the normal skeletons over the Tomb Guard because it saves you a load of points, and the Tomb Guard don't seem to be that much better. So that's my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments or whatever. He's got 6 chariots. Presumably they go with Sectra, so he's got a big sort of... So that when I was sort of theory building a list for Tomb Kings with Sectra, and that's kind of where I ended up every time, because you just got to do it. It's a big block of points though, but Sectra does stuff that makes them quite good. I think they can re-roll impact hits or something. You got some skeleton skirmishers with warbows. This is a great choice, just to like, because they've got chariot runners as well. I thought actually he'd have some. He's got some Necropolis Knights and a Necrosphinx. Yeah. The one thing this list is going to struggle with is dragons, because you've only really got this Necrosphinx that can do any damage to them. It does fly, and so it is like a flying... It's a monster hunting monster, but like it's going to struggle still. It's not that good. But I suppose you can heal it. Yeah, the Mortuary Priest, as long as he's sort of around the big flappy Necrosphinx thing, can like pop a wound on it every turn, which is pretty good. Then we've got Wood Elves, who managed to win 4 of their games as well. Well done to Per. We've got a Glade Lord on Dragon. We've got a Shadow Dancer. That's the second time I've seen that. We've got a level 4 Wizard. So we've got a level 4 Wizard. You got a Dragon. You know, cool. You got some Glade Guard. We've got some Scouts. We've got another unit of Scouts. Scouts seem to be like in Special and in Core quite frequently. I need to check the rules on that, because they seem to have appeared in both. I think it's only 1 unit you can put in as a core choice, but it might be 1 per 1,000. I might be wrong on that. He's got the War Dance. He's got the wow, no sisters. First Wood Elf list I've read out of about sort of 10 or so, and it's the first one without sisters. He's got a Great Eagle, and obviously Wood Elves disagree with me. Great Eagles are fantastic, apparently. I mean, I still prefer the Warhawk Riders, but you know, whatever. Yeah, he's got a Shadow Dancer with the Dragon Slaying Sword. That's interesting. And he's got some War Dancers as well. So yeah, that's really interesting. Huh. I wonder how that works. I wonder if he actually got the Shadow Dancer and the War Dancers actually into combat, because they get strike first, remember, so they're pretty good. So if he gets into combat with a monster, if it's not ridden by a character, he can challenge it and just hope for 6 on the wounds. He's got plenty of attacks, and then actually the unit can do a dance of 4 at ward save. So the monster might not even kill him in retaliation. So that's pretty cool. But I wonder if that ever really happened. Or I suppose he could just... I think one of the dances is like +2 attacks or something. So that's pretty good for like trying to spike that and get that 6. I wonder if that ever came off though. They are pretty quick though. 5-inch move and skirmish means they can pretty much just go in any direction. So that's pretty good. Right. So that's them. And then finally, the first 5-0 winner of the Old World, Tim Nordin. Nordin, probably. I don't know. Apologies for butchering the name if I did. He's got Gobbos. The first 5-0 winner happens to be somebody who loves a Night Goblin. Absolutely fantastic. Top marks, Tim. Night Goblin, big boss. Yeah, I don't care about any of that. What all everybody wants to know at this point is how many fanatics has he got? And yeah, it's 9. He's got the maximum. He's got 2 Night Goblin mobs with bows. He's got 1 with spears, all of which have 3 fanatics. So the tournament comp rule is you can only have 3 of one unit. Night Goblin mobs are 1 unit. You equip them with either spears or bows. And then these units are the units that, as an upgrade, can take up to 3 fanatics. So the maximum you can have in a 2K list is, or in a tournament list under the current comp, is 9 fanatics. And of course, he's got 9 fanatics. Why wouldn't you? They're amazing. So yeah, that's super cool. He's got a Wolf Rider mod because they've got feigned flight, which is just great. So when they get charged, they just retreat and then automatically rally again. they're just an absolute nuisance. These are super, super, super good for baiting out like units with impetuous or frenzy, because you can get to like their maximum charge range. You can then essentially, flee. Is it fall back in good order? I can't remember. Anyway, you can just move outside of there. So then they have to make a failed charge. So then they have to basically roll probably like a 9 or whatever, or an 8 or a 9, and then just sort of shuffle forwards 8 or 9, which then gets them into the charge range of your stuff. Or in the case of this list, and this is what I think he probably does, is what he's going to do is he's going to rush all these night goblins up to you as quick as possible. And then he's going to release all the fanatics like in your face. Well, just in front of your face, actually, because what he wants is this screen of fanatics across the table. So if you move forward, you take D6 strength 5 hits at AP 2 or 3 or something ridiculous, which is what fanatics do if you move through them. And in order to incentivize you to move through them, he's got 2 fairly accurate catapults. And I had a debate on this in the comments a while ago. I think they're really accurate. Other people don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. I'm willing to be wrong. I am wrong quite often. It's called humanity. It's called being human. He's got some bolt throwers. He's got a squeak hopper mob. I'm not really sure why they're there, but they are, and they're great, and the models are fantastic, and I love them. So that's they're cool. I don't know why they're there. You'd probably be better off with another bolt thrower. Well, maybe not actually. Maybe the squeak hopper mob is just to essentially stick around all this artillery and like disincentivize artillery hunters from killing them. Because I suppose actually, if you've got some Warhawk riders that you've sent around to deal with the war machines, actually having a unit of squig hopper mobs just sort of sat there, maybe. I mean, I know I'm not just guessing that just because it's here. I know they're special, which is why they're here. They're not like listed because it's all part of the same like sub detachment bit, but actually they're quite flexible, so they do that job quite well. And for 60 points, like making sure nobody got into combat with these guys is pretty useful. Yeah. Oh yeah, and of course he's got a wyvern, so he's got a dragon. Sort of. Yeah, so that's a really interesting list. I really like it. Like, I'm not surprised it did well. But Tim, hats off to you. Well done, that man. Winning 5 games at a tournament is no mean feat. It requires a lot of, basically a lot of stamina and a lot of, mental stamina as well. Right, so let's have a look at the results. So I've uploaded all the results here. I've done some more stats this time round. So what I tried to do is essentially do like a points tally thing of like 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, no points for a loss, and then had this is like so there's very little. So Chaos Dwarves seem to draw a bit. The problem is what I then did is some stats, and I did a t-test between this population and this population, and basically what that shows is that 63% probability that the variation is just due to random chance. So I'm going to keep that stat up there because it kind of highlights whether this is... So basically it needs to be below 5% in order for us to be certain that this is like a different population. So if that goes below 5, this is useful. If or this is useful. I mean, one or the other. They're both. What this is saying is they're both more or less saying the same thing. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, which one you look at. This is probably easier to do when you're at a tournament. So I'll just explain what standard deviation means. So basically, this plus or minus this is like what a normal player gets. So for some reason that column disappeared. I don't know why. Okay, so again, there's not that many results here for Lizardman, so 7's not really enough. I mean, 22's not really enough, but 20's, 30 is probably where the data starts to get a bit more reliable. So Kingdom of Bretonia are looking pretty balanced, actually, a 50-ish% win rate. A normal result at a tournament would be like between a 25% and a 75% win rate. So that looks pretty good, actually. That looks pretty well balanced. Bretonians are, they're looking okay. So if you're winning like 4 games or more at a 5-game tournament with Bretts, you're above average. And if you should be winning 2 or 3 games. This is basically what this is saying. If you're not doing that, there's some stuff you need to work on, or stuff you should be proud of in whatever. But Tomb Kings, they're looking pretty good, actually. There's quite a lot of wins with Tomb Kings, so that's slightly concerning. Also concerning is Orcs and Goblins down here. Like, it's normal for an Orc and Goblin player to not win a single game. Now, everybody has a bad weekend, but once like a certain, like, this is out of 29 results, so it's not terrible stats, but like it shouldn't really be within the normal range for people to be losing all the games. If the game's balanced, the normal range should be 2 to 3 wins at a tournament, right? That's what everybody should be sort of getting, more or less. That should be like the normal kind of the bulk of results. That's what people end up getting. So this kind of splits it down into factions. Vampire counts, again, there's not really that many results, but these are the... So I'll just explain this column here. So what I did is a Z test, and what this does is it splits up this into statistically significantly different populations. So basically, if this figure is above 0.95, that's the top third, and when it gets below 0.05, that's the bottom third. So actually, the middle pack in this instance is not very big at all. There's a big sort of block of up here. Again, there's not very many results, so this isn't massively accurate, so don't really read too much into it. I'd caveat this very heavily. These results are not... There's not enough results for these parametric tests to be hugely reliable, but I'm just sort of explaining the methodology so that when we do get a few more results, we can then start to identify some proper patterns. But as it stands at the moment, again, on this unreliable data set, you've got some... Not unreliable because it's wrong, but unreliable because there's just not enough of it. But you've then got Lizardmen, Dark Elves seem to be, but again, 6 results. But anyway, these Kingdom of Bretonia, this is the one that I said looked pretty well balanced. They're in the top set. In terms of like being statistically significantly different to the rest. Does that really look that much different to that? Well, stats says yes, but arguably it's not, because dwarves are still sort of in the 2 to 3 game range, demons are in the 2 to 3 game range, dark elves, but there is something going on statistically, which is what this says. That means that this is a cut above the sort of the run of the mill data. Whereas down here we've got High Elf Realms. High Elf Realms are in the bottom out of, if you're going to divide it into 3 sets, High Elf Realms are in the bottom set. That's slightly worrying, because a lot of people, I think, thought the High Elf Prince on Dragon was going to be the answer to the old world. Well, it looks like it isn't, and from reading a lot of these lists, boys and girls, High Elves are definitely taking dragons. There's a lot of High Elf dragons out there, and they're just not doing very well. And I think, go back and look at my High Elf list video. It's a bit more boring than this. I think I had a cold when well, I say it's a bit more boring than this. I love stats. I find them really interesting. But yeah, if you go back and have a look at my High Elf, I think the issue with the High Elves is that you got to be super, super accurate, in that if you waste a single element of your army list, then you lose the game. If you manage to wield everything so that everything in the High Elf list does its job, you win the game. And I think that's the issue with High Elves. this is, I think, actually why they're showing some of the highest variability here. So if we look at, in fact, let's have a look at that. Let's just do, I need to go Z to A, don't I? So the Beastmen, whatever. Wood elves and high elves, Skaven and Beastmen are the ones where where it really is the highest variability in terms of results. Actually, while I'm here, I'm just going to do that. Bugger off, bloody computer, telling me that I can't do things. Has that done what I wanted it to? No, I want that to be C, and I want that to be C, and I want that to go all the way down there. Right, so in terms of variability, who's the most variable? Chaos Dwarves. So these guys have a lot more variability than the rest of the population. Statistically, 31 may look like it's the same as 31, but stat says it isn't. This is why this data set isn't very good, because obviously 31 is the same as 31. However, because there's not a lot of results, there's not enough variation, and now also these tests aren't particularly brilliant. What I need to do is do that with I need to do some more composite of stats, but whatever. What this is, I'd suggest, actually, let's go for medical certainty, either 99.9% above everything else. So Wood Elf, Skaven and the Beastmen are the ones that are showing the biggest variability in terms of their win percentages. So essentially Beastmen, the results, again, there's only 10, but 60% plus 40% is 100, 60% less is 20. So out of a 5-game tournament, you'd expect a normal Beastman player to get anywhere between 5 and 1 wins. That's a huge amount of variability. This is massive. It's not 2 or 3, it's 5 to 1, right? So Skaven, again, not enough results. You got Wood Elves and High Elves, again, showing a bit of variability. But High Elves and Wood Elves, again, they're the two factions, I think, where you really need to get everything right and really need to use everything to the best of its ability. And if you do, you win the game. So your Wood Elf percentage is like 90%, somewhere between 20% and 90% is like a normal result. So again, 90% is somewhere between 4 or 5 wins in a 5-game tournament, right? Again, there's not been that many 5-game tournaments, but it's certainly all 3 out of 3 games in a 3-game tournament, which is what the majority of results has been so far. So what that means is Wood Elves are getting somewhere between 0 to 3 wins in a 3-game tournament, and the High Elves are getting somewhere between 1 to 3 wins, and the High Elves are getting somewhere between 0 to 2 is normal. So it's this kind of variability that I think shows you what are the most reliable factions. Well, Dark Elves, apparently, again, not a lot of results. Bretonia, super reliable faction. It's very reliable in terms of its results. It's bang down the middle, and to be honest, like I said when I reviewed the book, I think Games Workshop have done a fantastic job of balancing Bretonia both internally and externally. Hopefully they can repeat this formula. I am a little concerned about the Khemri results, but maybe that's because people don't quite yet know how to deal with them. So maybe that's a kind of a learning curve, or relearning how the undead really operate in the old world. Cool. So that's the data. That's where we're up to. Again, it's early days yet. The stats will get more accurate, and the parametric testing, i.e. all those T-tests and Z-scores and all that kind of stuff, will get more accurate over time once we get a bit more data. So then finally, what have we got coming up? Well, we've got Gothic Games Canterbury this weekend. We've not got how many competitors are there, so that's going to be interesting. We've got a 4-round tournament in Ottawa. We've got a couple of tournaments. I don't tend to report results unless there's 10 competitors, so hopefully these will get a few more people sign up. You've got that's a small tournament, small points, so I won't do that. That one I might cover next week. And then we've got 1,000 points doubles, which I won't put in the data because it's really difficult to pass out the results for doubles, and that's about it. Next, sorry. In America, Dennis Sater is running a tournament called the First Badger Brawl. So No more 5-round tournaments in the near future. Now, let's see how many 5-round tournaments we've got coming up over the next few months. Let's go to the end of May. Let's see what we should be getting. 10 rounds? I don't think that's a real thing. There's quite a lot of stuff on Best Coast Pairings where somebody's like trialing stuff. But, you know, we've had this one here. We've got, that's a slow grow narrative campaign. I don't know why 9 rounds. Oh, that's what that might be as well. Battles in the Border Princes. That's the match play event at Warhammer World itself in Lenton. That's coming up on April the 20th. I think all the tickets have already sold out anyway. It's a bit weird because they've got the new table sizes, so they've got 44 by 60s rather than 48 by 72s because they've converted all the tables at Warhammer World to the new table sizes. And then they released a game that used the old ones, and they didn't keep any of them. So well done, Games Workshop. well done, Nottingham. Anyway, like, why not just do mats? Why not just do the rollout mats like everybody uses? For some reason, Games Workshop hate them and just seem to. Oh no, we need this weird cardboard thing that breaks after 3 uses. Oh yeah, great, thanks, G-Dub. That's really helpful. Just get the vinyl or the mouse mat style stuff. Like, obviously you'd have to use vinyl because some people are allergic to latex, but like, you know, whatever. Anyway, so we've got this Richmond Open on May the 4th. We've got May 25th. There's a tournament coming up in the States, and then you got the Middenheim GT in the States as well. This is another 5-round event. There are some other events that aren't on here. That should be, probably. Normally the tournament organisers that normally the TO that runs this is it's Rob Symes over at Nottingham is doing his own 5-game events. I think one is like this weekend or the weekend after, and it's not on here, so I don't quite know how he's doing results. But yeah, we shall have to find out what happened and report back. But yeah, thanks for listening so far. If you've got this far in the video, I hope I've done enough to earn your subscription. If you've liked the video, there's a button for that, and I'm in terms of like what I'm planning to do this week. I mean, there's probably not a lot really that I can talk about, to be honest, about the old world. I could do like some list reviews. I could do a Path to Victory style video, especially if Robbie gets back to me, because then we can, you know, maybe go through like how he managed to get to win a tournament, because it's that often I find it's that path to victory that's really interesting and really quite often can explain why somebody's done so well, because the opponents they've played against has just sort of fallen for them nicely. Obviously you know you got to keep the old ticker going, and you got to you know, it's not easy, but yeah, cool. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on now, and I'll catch you around soon. Toodaloo.